You look at young people in America who have seen trillions of dollars wasted fruitlessly on wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They believe that they're taxpayers and they don't see the same opportunities for themselves that they thought that their forebears were having. The ability for the middle class to rise up, to take their education and get meaningful long-term employment is eroding in this country. The Americans aren't spending money on infrastructure. The Americans, are leaving a lot of these people behind. And I think that if you look at the track record the Americans have had outside their country in the Middle East over the past decades, there are very good reasons for you to be skeptical and say that money would be much better spent in the United States. I think that is an ethically defensible argument. I also think there's an ethically defensible argument to be made that says that the way that we defeated the Soviet Union, which was a morally repugnant regime, which breached every human rights obligation in a social contract between its citizens and the government that could possibly justify investing in Soviet authorities the responsibility to arbiter force. We needed to defeat them, and we did. And the way we defeated them was not just by building a military. Ultimately, it was the power of ideas and values. It was the promotion of democracy and rule of law and an independent judiciary and, yes, a free marketplace that was aspirational for the captive nations of the Eastern Bloc. And we actively beamed that into these countries. We had our captive nations parades, we had Voice of America, we had Radio Free Europe. And I think that there's a very strong argument to be made that if we hadn't done that, that the history books would be written very differently for the Europeans and for the world. And there's an ethically defensible argument to be made that the United States needs to be actively promoting its values among the governments of the Middle East that we have been providing a lot of support for. We've been selling them a lot of weapons, but we haven't expressed not a lot of concern that their systems of governance are in many ways repugnant to us and also to their own sustainable development and to their own citizens. So you've got two arguments. They are completely at odds with each other. And American allies around the world actually really have no idea which of those two we should actually choose. And certainly if you look at the 2016 presidential debate thus far, you would not receive any clarity in that outcome.